Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is @ThePaddyPower, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather, or the gym.
8 days to go. It's getting close. This time next week it will be Cheltenham Eve, and then the action finally gets underway. Welcome along to the Racing Post Monday Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington, and I am joined today by Nick Watts and Justin O'Hanlon, my fine Racing Post colleagues, as well as Paul Binfield from Paddy Power. Now, we will be peering over the fence into the weekend where we've got the Leinster National and the Imperial Cup, but obviously all focus really is on Cheltenham because that's what we're all so excited about. The snow is clearing, the weather's going to be nice, but before we look at some of the individual races, I think it's really, really important that we try and bottom out what the ground is going to be, because we spent all winter assuming it's going to be good to soft. It should always is, but it's not looking like that at all, is it? Could be a bit softer than that. Before Watsy tells us what he thinks the ground's going to be like, and bear in mind there's a family farm very close to Cheltenham, so he's got a good little form guide on that. Binners, have we got any prices on what the going's going to be?
I'll have a quick look for you, Bruce.
Well, I'll tell you what, okay, we'll go to Nick and then we'll come back to you for pricing. Now, Nick, the family farm isn't too far away, so is the drainage in the lower field worse than normal, or what's it going to be like at Cheltenham based on what's happening there?
I think we're always trained to think it's going to be good to soft, like you said, but I think we've got to be much more adaptable this year, bearing in mind what happened last week. So it's already got a soft base there. I've been looking at the forecast for this week. I think we've got a dry midweek, but Friday and Saturday there's two big belts of rain coming in. I don't know how much they're going to bring, but with it being soft already, yeah, I mean, the conventional thinking is, oh, it'll dry up, it'll be fine. That's what we always think. You might just have to be a little bit more adaptable this year and just hedge your bets until we get to like Monday and we get the forecast for the week, and then we'll have a better idea. But I wouldn't be surprised if it did play a lot slower than it normally does, at least to begin with.
And Justy, presumably that's kind of altering everyone's thought process over in Ireland as well, because as we've been saying, everyone thinks, yeah, good to soft, it always is. But all of a sudden, a few horses that might have been out of the equation are suddenly coming very back into it, aren't they?
Well, I'm not sure there were that many would have been out of the equation on good ground as opposed to being soft ground. But obviously the main thing that we're going to be wondering about now is where Sam Crow runs.
Yeah, there's been a lot of chat about that, hasn't there? What's your reading of it?
Well, like I said, Gordon has said, I think he's on record as saying that if the ground goes soft or worse, that he'll run him in the Supreme, and if not, he'll run in the Neptune or the Ballymore.
And yet they'd said a while ago, Justin, that they were going for the Ballymore and that was it. Debate over.
Yeah, well, you know, these debates tend to change tack, and these promises tend to change very much with all of these big yards as the season goes on, especially the big two over here.
Absolutely. So really, I mean, you've got the non-runner, no-bet safety net, haven't you? But right now, what's your gut feel? Do you think it literally does depend, and it's as simple as that? If it's good to soft, Ballymore, and if it's soft or worse, Supreme? I
reckon that I just still think they'll probably go Ballymore with Sam Crow rather than take on a really good one in the Supreme in Get Aboard. And Get Aboard could go 2-5 either. I mean, that possibility exists too.
What's your view on Sam Crow, Justin? Is he potentially the next Arkle, or is the hype just got a little bit out of hand?
I think potentially he's an extraordinarily good horse. The way he was able to adapt to drop back to 2 miles at Leopardstown last time was just a really, really good performance, albeit against a horse who probably wants further. But no, he absolutely could be anything, Bruce. He is very much in that category.
And Watsy, one of the best things about Cheltenham this year will be 48-hour decks. It means, for instance, that in that 2 hours before racing starts on Tuesday, we'll know the first 3 cards. They'll all have been declared. Fantastic. It really does help massively, doesn't it? And I mean, as an aside, obviously all races should be 48-hour decks. But that's going to help us massively when it comes to placing our bets next week. But what I want to ask you is this. From the point of view of the week and the spectacle, do you think Sam Crow's better off in the Supreme or the Ballymore?
I would have been inclined to run him in the Supreme. I thought that as soon as he passed the post at Leopardstown. I thought he obviously wasn't inconvenienced. It wasn't a particularly strong gallop that day, and he does need further. So the fact he's still able to put distance between him and some decent horses, I thought he'd have no problem in the Supreme whatsoever. So I don't know why they were so hell-bent on going for the Ballymore, because he can, you know, in my view, he could stick to 2 miles for now, and you know, there's so much time to go up in trip when they need to. But that's the route at this moment in time that they're going down. So, you know, we've just got to leave it to connections. And
Binners, is there anything in terms of how the market's been moving over the weekend that offers any clues as to where the horse might run?
Well, as you know, he has shortened for the Supreme. I heard today that he would only go for that race if it was heavy, Bruce. So, I'm not sure it's going to be heavy on that first day. I've been in touch with the lads, and they're having a look at the going right now. So hopefully I might be able to bring you the betting before the end of the show.
Could be some breaking news. OK, well, let's look at the big race of the whole week. Obviously, it's the Gold Cup on the Friday. Over the weekend, Brian Ellison was very bullish about Definitely Red's chances. Obviously, the rain is music to their ears. Binners, what's the latest prices and the latest market moves? What's the key trends?
Well, My Bite is now 4-1 favourite, Bruce. He has been as short as 3-1, so you could say he is drifting a little bit. Sizing John and Native River both 6-1. I see one of my bookmaking colleagues mention that Native River could go off favourite if the going was soft. And then we've got Road to Respect at 9, Our Duke 9, and Kill Your Tar Vic at 9. And then it's 16 bar the top 6, Bruce.
OK, Justin O'Hanlon, give us your latest thoughts on the Cheltenham Gold Cup.
Well, I think this could be one of the most ground-dependent races of the week. In fact, if the ground does turn out soft, it definitely brings Native River very much into play. It brings Kilota Vic into play. Definitely Red, you've already mentioned. It would count against the likes of Sizing John, who you would have thought a doubtful stayer coming into the race last year, and over 3.25 miles on softer heavy ground. That exacerbates. Road to Respect is a horse I've been very much on the side of all season, but I think if the ground comes up soft, it's not going to really play to his strengths either. I don't think. If we do have softer heavy ground come Friday, Native River has a huge chance. I'd give Kilota Vic a huge chance on softer heavy ground as well. If we get the normal sort of easy side of good, I'd still be very much a fan of Road to Respect in the race. I'm not a fan of Might Bite, whatever happens.
You're not? Why not?
No. What's he done really apart from he won a soft King George workman in a workmanlike fashion. What he did at the festival last year, of course, can't be forgotten either. If he does anything like that this year, he won't be in the first 6. I just think he's a false favourite at the price for me. Even though I know his win record is second to none in the race, but he's not a 3-1 or 5-2 Gold Cup favourite for me.
Well, he's on the drift now, out to 4-1. Where do you stand on the old Might Bite?
Yeah, I just got a nagging doubt about that form of the King George with double shuffle, getting so close to him. That's not kind of what you look for in a potential Gold Cup winner. I know horses can always run above themselves in a big race like that, so they've done it before and they'll do it again.
And that's meant to be his, track, isn't it? Kempton. That's
double shuffle.
No.
Might Bite. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. No. Very much so. So I respect him, but. Yeah, I could see him drifting before the day. But it's interesting you mentioned Definitely Red before we started talking. Him and Native River, they've both beaten the same horse this season, Cloudy Dream, in almost identical fashion. Definitely Red did it at Aintree by kind of grinding out a win, going on from 2 out, 2-3 out and grinding away. Native River did exactly the same at Newbury a few weeks ago. Definitely Red can still be back to 16-1. And Native River, they're talking about going off favourite. So... I respect what Justin said about if it goes soft or heavy, you have to give Native River a chance. But using that Cloudy Dream form line, if it does go that, you've got to give Definitely Red a huge chance as well. And he's 10 points bigger in the market. Yeah,
I thought Definitely Red was a runner. And I was with Paul Keeley last week and I said, what about Definitely Red? And he just looked at me as if I'd, suggested, well, goodness knows, it's just not good enough. He just couldn't be more dismissive. But... it's always a bit of a worry when Kills just puts you down like that. But you've restored my faith in Definitely Red there, Watsy. Binners, what's your view on the Gold Cup? Who's going to win it?
Well, Bruce, I went through the top end of the market today thinking about this soft ground, and I think, more or less all of them have won on soft or heavy ground, particularly the Irish horses. My idea of the winner is Native River, about 6-1 now. I think he's had a much better campaign than last year, so I'd rule out last year's run in the race. He's going into the race fresh, which is something. I spoke to Noel Chance last week, and he told me that you need a horse that that is fresh going into the race. So I'm going to go with Native River. And just while I'm on, Bruce, we've come up with that weather betting now, and we still think it'll be good to soft. 4 to 6 good to soft, 11 to 8 soft, 12 heavy, and you can have 50 good, 66 any other.
Of course, the trouble is with heavy, even if it is heavy, it won't become heavy till after the second race, will it? You can bet your bottom dollar on that. It'll be soft, and all of a sudden it's heavy. Justin, before we finish on the Gold Cup, we haven't mentioned our Duke. Can you give me any confidence in him? Because I thought it was a smashing run last time out against presenting Percy, and to me that almost is the most encouraging piece of form in the book this winter.
Yeah, he's coming into the race in form, Bruce. Whatever the ground is, I don't think it'll inconvenience him one way or the other. I think he'll run the same race, whatever the ground is like. No, impressive the last day, and certainly impressive the way he jumped in the latter half of the race. Noel Feely's going to be riding him, which, I mean, he's the next best to Ruby in my opinion. There's no, there's obviously, there's no negative with him riding that horse. He's one thing I thought about him the last day, and I put it to Jessica Harrington. She didn't exactly scoff at me, but anyway. I just got the impression with this horse, his jumping it's been easy to crib his jumping, but if he's let just do it his own way and don't put any pressure on his jumping, he'll be fine. Jessica said he needs to be able to concentrate on his jumping during a race, and if he's up there in the first 6 or 7 in the field of a Gold Cup, concentration on his jumping is going to be a given. That's going to be a given. He's got a very, very solid chance. He has as good a chance as a stable companion.
Okay.
I think they both have equally good chances.
Okay. What I want to ask you guys next is, if we're going to work on the basis that it is softer than good to soft, which horse do you think all of a sudden zooms into the reckoning? Which horse are you thinking, do you know what, I've had that at the back of my mind. If it's soft, he's going to run a right good race at Cheltenham. Watsy, we'll start with you.
God, well, I think we mentioned one already, in the Gold Cup. If it's kind of cemented a view already had, then it would be about Undersow in the Ryanair Chase. I think he could be very difficult to beat on soft ground. So I know that's not not splitting the atom there by saying that.
But he might actually be a massive price, mightn't he?
I think
they seem to be making, unless they're just trying to keep the hype away from waiting patiently, you have to half think he's not going to turn up, and then who's he up against?
Well, this is it. Listening to connections, I think waiting patiently might well miss it, and we could just be ignoring a very obvious winner in Undersow, who's been there, done it, and he's a 10-year-old now, but he's more relaxed now than he ever was, and you give him a bit of soft ground, and he'll be very hard to beat wherever he goes. Justin,
Undersow underrated still, possibly?
Well, yeah. Possibly so, and I agree with Nick 100% there. If the ground comes up soft, it probably makes him one of the bankers of the week. There's a couple of others. I was sort of coming down on the side of Petit Mouchoir over Footpad in the Arkle. I think if the ground comes up soft, it'll definitely play to Footpad strengths more than Petit Mouchoir. And there's one in everybody's favourite race, the Albert Bartlett, on Friday. Henry de Bromhead's Chris's Dream, who absolutely bolted up over 3 miles on desperate ground at Clonmel last time out. It was the race that Henry used for Monolly last year before he finished second in the race, and he'd have a big chance at a slightly double-digit price as well.
Oh, lovely, excellent. What about you, Binners? Any soft ground mudlarks that have come onto your radar in recent days?
Yeah, I mean, with all this talk, Bruce, I had been thinking of opposing Apple Shakira in the Triumph because.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Everyone's falling into that trap. They are all wrong. She's the bet of the week.
Well, there you go. I'm coming along to agree with you now, Bruce. So all the 3 wins at Cheltenham are all on soft. I thought maybe worth taking on. A bit of good to soft ground, better ground, something like Rhodesian, Blackbred Horse, or We Have a Dream, or something. But listen, Bruce, I'm in your camp now.
Never ignore the obvious, the golden rule of betting. Right then, if we weren't having a bet, chaps, which race would we most be looking forward to watching? If you're only allowed to watch one race, which would be pretty cruel, which one would you tune in for? Watsy?
I think it's the Queen Mother this week. I mean, we got Altior against Douvan against Min. Altior and Douvan both had their issues this season. And yeah, Douvan's making his comeback, but we've got to remember Altior's just had the 1 run in a long time. Possible bounce factor. I've heard from the circuit of preview nights recently that if Douvan does make it, then Ruby will definitely ride him because they obviously feel and have a winning chance, which would be possibly to the detriment of Min, who I thought at one stage might be, a real contender for this. But the matchup between Altior and Douvan, so often these fail to materialise, but if both run to their best, that would be a great sight if they both turn for home with a chance.
No question about that. I guess, Justin, it's just, you know, with Douvan, he's been off so long and he's coming back. No, he's not. Yes, he is. No, he's not. You can't get too excited about that clash yet until they're actually declared, because there's got to be nagging doubts about Douvan, you know, being able to come back and put it up to a horse of the class of Altior.
Oh, of course. I mean, if he pulls this off, it'll be the training performance of Willie Mullins' career. No doubt about it.
Hang on. Say Douvan and Forheen both win. Which is the best training performance, Justin?
Oh, Douvan by a mile, I'd say.
Okay. All right.
It really is a pity that the first clash between these two great horses is, you know, under such a cloud, if you like. For my money, if the two of them meet at their best 7 days a week, Douvan beats Altior every time. But we'll see.
And which race would you be watching, Justin, if you only had the one? Would it be that one?
I think that or the Gold Cup. The Gold Cup looks an exciting race this year, and it's an open race as well. Very open race as well.
Absolutely. And how about you, Binners?
Well, I was going to go for the Queen Mother, but as Watsy's already said that one, I've changed my tune. I'll go for the Champion Hurdle. Bouverdare looks something special. One of the bankers of the week for the, the accumulator backers. But I think I'm going to talk about Super Sunday later in the show. But I think Forheen's effort in the Irish Champion Hurdle could be a lot better than some people have thought.
Okay, I think you're being very optimistic there, saying that the Champion Hurdle could be the race of the week. It's the one that everyone's kind of written off as the absolute stoomer. Never mind. Okay, competition.
Well, I was going to go Queen Mother, but I didn't want to copy Nick Watsy.
That's fine. You could easily have copied away. Right then, for your chance to win a £25 or €25 free bet from Paddy Power, simply tweet the answer to the following question, making sure you use the hashtag Postcast. We'll announce the winner on Friday's show, and your free bet will be credited to your Paddy Power account. So to get a nice bit of Cheltenham ammo, just tell us who is favourite for the Cheltenham Gold Cup with Paddy Power. And by the way, as we didn't have a show on Friday because there was no racing to preview, we never got to announce the winner from last week. Well done to Chris from Aldershot.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet then next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Okay, tomorrow in the last of our Cheltenham Anti-Post podcasts, we are going through the handicaps. It will be an epic transmission. None of the panel today are taking part, so we'll get their thoughts now as a little appetiser. Your best fancies in the handicaps, chaps. You can have one each. Well, what we'll do is we'll do a sort of strong one and then maybe a long price. So we'll do the strong fancies now. Watsy, away you go.
Potemps final, Louis Vac Pouch, horse of Philip Hobbs's, has been laid out for this. He won the qualifier at Aintree in December, I think it was. It was a really good race. Beer Goggles was in third, just before he won that Newbury race. Forza Milan, good horse in second. Vita Duroc was back in fifth. He's won since then. Form couldn't have worked out any better. They've kept him back for it. Hobbsy has been out of form for most of the winter. He hasn't had a great season by any means, but there's just been a few signs recently that he's turned the corner. And positive bulletins from the stable. So Louis Vac Pouch, I think he's about 10-12 to 1 for the Potemps. He would be a big fancy of mine.
Okay, it's Hobbsy to you, is he, Watsy? Fair enough. Justin, who's your strong handicap choice?
Slight ground dependency about this one, but he's one I fancied all winter in that Brown advisory, the old Mile May Fleet, I'll call it that. Tully East of Barry Conlon and Alan Fleming won the novice handicap chase there last year. I thought he ran a hell of a good race considering the ground was so bad in the old the Mackeson there in November, and his run at Leopardstown over too short a trip last time out just was just a beautiful prep run for this race. He's not often I'd be going over Bruce as my banker being in a handicap, but this is it, Tully East. I'm
going to have the Horse Race Sponsorship Association on to me, calling it the Mile May Fleet and the Mackeson. Come on, man. It's 2018. And Binners, your handicap
I'm quite keen on a horse called Michuka for Gordon Elliott in the Fred Winter, Bruce. Got a rating of just 139. I think he's a bit of value at 12 to 1. He's won 4 of his starts, placed in the other 3. Won his last 2, and Gordon said that he'll get to the last on the bridle, and it's just whether he gets up the hill. So I think a double-figure price is more than fair.
Lovely, and we'll have another one at maybe a slightly bigger price. So if they won and you didn't back them, you'd be kicking yourself all the way up Cleve Hill. Which one's that, Watsy?
There's one in the Kinmure, Gigginstown horse called General Principle, who's got a few entries over the course of the week, so I'm not quite sure where he's going to go yet. But really eye-catching run at Leopardstown last time. Finished a staying on fourth in a really good handicap. I think he was not placed, I think he's about fourth or fifth in the Irish National last season as a novice. Just looked as though he was on the way back last time. I think he's about 20, 25 to 1 for the Kinmure if he goes that way.
Justy, you'll be pleased that Nick said Gigginstown, won't you? Because I remember you saying
Absolutely.
to me, you said to me once, I've no idea why anyone would call it anything else, and that closed the debate for me. Justy, who's your handicap sus at a bigger price?
Yeah, well, we'll go back to Gordon, and he has a horse that has a few entries, but I think he's most likely to run in the Coral Cup, and that's a horse called Sire du Berlay. He's very likely raced, but very nice comeback run when he was second at Fairyhouse there a couple of weeks ago behind a horse called Out of the Loop. He's actually only had three runs over hurdles in Ireland, but he looks one that's been. He looks very capable of running a big race in a big handicap, and I think he's only running off a £3 higher mark than his Irish mark, so he'll get into the Coral Cup, and hopefully that's the race he takes in.
Good stuff, Justy. And what about you, Binners? Give us another one for the handicaps.
I'll go for Paul Nicholls' Move with the Times for JP McManus. Bruce, he's got a couple of entries.
We need him in the Ultima.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's in that. He's in the Close Brothers. And
sorry. Yeah. The Close Brothers. Yeah, I need him to win that.
Yeah, he's 8 to 1 for that. He's 14 for the Brown Advisory. I don't think he'd have been a massive price in the JLT or the RSA, Bruce. Admittedly, his jumping was a bit patchy at Cheltenham in December, but I think the Somerset Sorcerer will have worked on that, and I think he'll go there with a good chance.
Okay, the Somerset Sorcerer, love it. Watsy, your bet of the week and your lay of the week.
Well, I've got to be totally honest with you here, Bruce. Underso was my banker, and I do have written down here on my notes, Apple's Shakira.
Really? You're going to lay her?
I will.
Why?
I've really got a fancy for Radician. I just thought he looked superb. At least
he looked good, didn't he?
At least as good as Apple Shakira looked. So
really, but yeah. I mean, surely, Kills was saying about the sire of Apple Shakira being the sire of Bristol Demai and various other horses that have to have it soft. If it's soft, you'd be reluctant to hit that lay button, wouldn't you? Watsy?
Yeah, I think maybe if it was soft or heavy on the day, I could be persuaded not to hit the pink button for her. But as it stands, if it's good to soft, then I think Radician has really, really impressed me in his wins at Kempton.
Yeah, no, I can't argue with that. Justine, your best bet and your best lay?
Well, the best bet is Tully East. Best lay, Might Bite.
Might Bite, okay. And Binners?
I'm going to go Super Sunday in the Stayers Hurdle, Bruce. And my lay is going to be Footpad in the Racing Post Arkle.
Footpad's really uneasy, isn't he? And of course, obviously his tasks have got easier. Poor old So Royale come out today, but it still looks a cracker, doesn't it? Is that because you've got a massive fancy for Petit Mouchoir, or do you just think overall the quality of the race is going to be a bit strong for him?
Yeah, I think the latter, Bruce. The overall quality, as you say, unfortunate for So Royal connections today. But you've got Petit Mouchoir you just mentioned. Harry Whittington, St Calvados's. Aidan Coleman thinks the world of him. And when Henderson starts bigging up a horse, I always take notice, and I think Brain Power goes there with a big shout as well. So I think Footpad short enough.
Brain Power's not for me. Where are you on Brain Power, Watsy? I can't have him.
I liked him for the Champion Hurdle last year and he blew out, and I just don't think Cheltenham's his track, to be honest.
They all say he's the only horse that can work with Bouvardere but at home, but he's not for me.
I wonder if this means Daryl Jacob will now ride Footpad and really be jocked off.
Yeah, it's a good shout. It's a very good shout. Justy, quick word on Super Sunday, who is the Binner's banker. Do you think that soft ground's going to maybe make that stamina a little bit of an issue for him?
Yes, I think that's quite probable. I think the stamina is maybe a slight issue at the moment as it is. I think he's the best horse in the race, and he's if he gets home, he's the most likely winner. But it is certainly a nagging doubt in my mind anyway, and in a few others I think as well. Yeah,
quite. Who's your stayers fancy, Watsy?
I'm all over Yanworth. I mean, he's got a verdict over Super Sunday already, and I know he splits opinion. A lot of people don't like him, but you look at his win record. There's not a lot not to like about him.
Okay, and plans for next week, chaps. Binners, are you overall for?
All four, Bruce. Travelling down Tuesday morning and can't wait.
Do you get on the sauce or do you play it play a steady game?
Play a very steady game, Bruce.
At our age, it's too tough, isn't it? Drinking down at Cheltenham is only for the Paul Keeleys of this world. I can't hack it.
You can't do it, Bruce.
And Justy, you over?
Yeah, arriving on Monday for our traditional Monday afternoon piss up in Bristol, Bruce, and then down for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and back for Dundalk on Friday.
Oh, that's fantastic. Excellent. Good luck. And how do you get the trip these days, Justin?
In terms of my stamina?
Yeah, you all right with it?
Yeah, Monday's the day to go drinking. The other 3 days are for sensible, non-lethal sort of drinking, if you see what I mean.
Even though I try and be sensible, I still come home absolutely weak as a kitten, and then you get all the chores that you're meant to have done, and you've got no brownie points there. It's an absolute nightmare that Friday night. Watsy, I believe you're in frantic negotiation with your boss, Big D, aren't you, to see how much time off you can get at Cheltenham. What do you think he'll let you?
I'm caught in the crossfire because it's not only Big D, it's my wife as well. I've been married less than 2 years, Bruce, and I've got 3 days at Aintree coming up. Can I do the double? I'm not sure. Maybe I'll have to give Cheltenham to get Aintree. So I'm really in a no man's land at the moment.
Oh, mind you. So you could be selling total what stays at half. You'll get there one day, won't you?
I'm sure. If I'd been married longer, she'd be happy to get rid of me. She'd give me free reign to go away as often as I wanted. But I'm not quite in that zone yet.
Why don't you try putting your foot down? Why don't you just say, listen, I love you to bits, but I have to have it. Or you could do a lot of Racing Post journalists do and say, look, I have to be there for work. Sorry, it's not.
That's a card.
Negotiable.
That's a card I could play, and she won't be listening to this. So yeah, it's a possibility, definitely.
Okay, let's have a little look at the weekend action.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet then next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Okay, then the big challenge for all of us this weekend is either to not erode our Cheltenham pot or to build it up. And as always, it's pretty tricky. The 2 main races on the weekend. On Saturday, we've got the Imperial Cup at Sandown, and on Sunday, it's the Leinster National over in Naas. So, boys, we'll get a selection from each of you on the Imperial Cup after Paul Binfield has given us the latest show of Paddy Power prices.
I'm very disappointed, Bruce, that his missus isn't listening to this. I can't believe it. But Imperial Cup, what's wrong with you? 6-1 favourite, 8-1 Silver Streak, Le Patriote and Call Me Lord. 12-1 Friday Night Light, and it's 16 bar.
Of course, it's not easy, is it? We'll still with you, Binners. Who wins it?
I'm a big, huge Harry Whittington fan. Big week for him. I'm going to go with Octagon. He's won his last 3. He's a nice double-figure price. He only won at Sedgefield last time, but he couldn't have done it any easier. He'll love the soft ground, and he's got a nice low weight of 10 stone, 3 pounds.
Righty-ho. Justy, have you had a look at the Imperial Cup?
I'll leave this one to you, boys. I don't have a clue about these horses.
Go on in, Watsy.
Dr. Newland's Le Patriote won at Ascot last time out. Good run in the Lanzarote in the race that's worked out really well before that. He's won this race in the past, loves soft ground, stays further, so we'll be getting up the Sandown Hill, no problem at all. Big chance.
I'll tell you what, those Dr. Newland horses, there's something reassuring about backing them, aren't they? Just they seem to run well. The set's collapsing. What's going on? We'll soldier on with the Leinster National on Sunday. And Justin, if you didn't have a view on the Imperial Cup, hopefully you do have a view on this.
Yeah, there's a couple of horses in this. There's a couple of horses in this that interest me. One is a horse now trained by Willie Mullins called Pair of Brown Eyes. Now, it was formerly trained by Barry Murphy. A good horse, good, very solid handicapper on his day. He's been placed against some decent horses. He was actually second in a handicap chase at the Open meeting at Cheltenham a couple of years ago. But just lost his way a little bit. Last run for Barry Murphy was when he was down the field at Leopardstown over Christmas. But he's now gone to Willie Mullins, and obviously that is a move of massive significance. I presume there's no betting on this race yet, but if he does run, he's going to be close to the top of the market. The handicapper hasn't really given him much of a break now for the loss of form that he has been had of late. But going to Willie Mullins, the potential there is obviously for him to improve a good few pounds. No disrespect to Barry Murphy, who's a very good trainer, but I don't think there's a horse that Willie Mullins has taken from another yard that hasn't improved yet. And
is there another one as well? You said you had 2 for it.
There's one. There's a JP horse which could be very interesting if he gets in. A horse called Squirmar, Scoirmear, trained by Tom Mullins. Very, very good handicap hurdler in 06-07. Has a nice enough mark over fences. Ran his first handicap over an inadequate trip at Gore on the last day. Finished second behind a horse who's probably going to go for a graded race there on Saturday called Tunji. Up to 3 miles. I think he had no trouble getting 3 miles. He's won over 2.5, 2.6. And down there I have a lovely racing weight, 10 stone 1. I think if there's a horse ripe for a market move in that race, he could be one of them. So those are the two I take against the field at the moment.
Okay, and one of my favourite columns in the Racing Post, I love them all, but I particularly like Justin O'Hanlon's Dark Horses. Are there any horses that are on that list, or anything that's caught your beady eye lately, Justin, that could be running this weekend that could just give us a few extra quid for Cheltenham?
I think Scormore is one of my dark horses of some time ago.
Okay.
He's fulfilled his obligations so far, but of the others, I actually don't know if any of my string are in this weekend. So
okay, well, listen,
I'll wait and see.
Any punter who wants to give themselves a decent chance of winning should put all those Justin O'Hanlon dark horses into their tracker. They're absolutely invaluable. Right, we will be back tomorrow when Tom Siegel joins the team to take a more in-depth look at all the Cheltenham handicaps. Don't miss that. We've got the usual weekend preview on Friday, and then every day at Cheltenham next week we've got a postcard. So loads of great stuff coming up on the postcasts, and don't forget, if you enjoy the shows, do please rate, review and subscribe on iTunes.
Success ain't earned, it's bought. That's why at Paddy Power, we paid the big bucks for the best tech nerds in the world to develop our new, fastest ever app. Download the new app from the App Store or Play Store now. 18+, BeGambleAware.org.